Imagine being the Scrappy startup from Australia stepping into the ring with Adobe, a company so dominant its name is practically a verb. For decades, Photoshop has been the undisputed heavyweight champion of the design world. Need to design a billboard? Photoshop. Retouch a photo? Photoshop. Remove your ex from a group picture? You guessed it, Photoshop. But then, out of seemingly nowhere, comes Canva, a cloud-based design tool co-founded by a former college student from Perth, and suddenly, Adobe's throne doesn't look so secure anymore. This is the story of how Canva, the brainchild of Melanie Perkins, Cliff Obrecht, and Cameron Adams, became one of the most valuable startups in the world, worth over $40 billion at its peak, and took on the Goliath of creative software with a radically different approach, making design so simple, practically your grandmother could use it, and probably already does. Let's rewind to 2007. Melanie Perkins, a communications and commerce student at the University of Western Australia, was tutoring fellow students on how to use complex design software like Adobe InDesign and Photoshop. And she saw the same pattern over and over: frustration, confusion, wasted hours. The problem? These tools were powerful but not exactly user-friendly. So she thought, what if graphic design could be as easy as dragging and dropping elements onto a page? That question eventually turned into Fusion Books, an online tool that allowed students and schools to design their own yearbooks. Fusion Books took off. It became a hit in Australia, New Zealand, and France, and the success gave Perkins the confidence to go bigger. In 2012, she and Obrecht flew to Silicon Valley, pitching their next vision: a design platform that anyone could use, not just professionals with years of experience and a subscription to Adobe Creative Cloud. At first, it was rough. Investors weren't sold. They didn't think a couple of Aussies could go head-to-head with Adobe. But after more than 100 rejections and countless pitch meetings, they landed former Google engineer Cameron Adams and secured their first major funding round. Canva officially launched in 2013. What set Canva apart from the jump was its accessibility. You didn't need to download a 2 GB program or watch a 20-hour course to get started. You just opened your browser, logged in, and you were designing. Canva took what made Photoshop great, layer-based editing, templates, custom fonts, but stripped away the complexity. Its drag-and-drop interface felt like second nature to anyone who'd ever used PowerPoint. And they weren't targeting professionals at first. They were going after the everyday user. Social media managers, small business owners, teachers, students, people who needed things to look good fast. And it worked. Canva grew like wildfire. In its first year, it had over 750,000 users. By 2017, that number had jumped to over 10 million. And it didn't stop there. Canva leaned hard into the idea that content creation shouldn't require a degree in design. They introduced pre-made templates, easy-to-use brand kits, and auto-alignment tools that took the guesswork out of good design. In a world where everyone needs content and no one has time, Canva became the shortcut. But Canva didn't stop there. Over time, they started adding features that crept closer and closer to Photoshop territory. Background remover? Built in. Magic resize? Done. AI-powered tools that help with layout and design suggestions? Oh yeah. They even rolled out Canva Pro and Canva for Teams. Clearly eyeing up the enterprise and freelance market Adobe had dominated for decades. Talking about numbers, Canva boasts over 170 million users globally as of early 2025. That's not just hobbyists. Entire organizations, from Zoom to Salesforce to the United Nations, use Canva to streamline internal communications and content creation. And while Photoshop still reigns supreme for high-end photo editing and complex compositions, Canva has swallowed up the middle of the market, the part where 90% of users live. Most people don't need a Swiss Army knife with 50 tools when all they really want is a clean flyer, a LinkedIn post, or a pitch deck that doesn't look like it was made in 1998. But here's where it gets spicy. Even Photoshop users are starting to switch. In a recent piece by PC World, editor Elena Yee shared her experience moving from Photoshop to Canva and didn't regret it for a second. She points out that Photoshop, while powerful, can be overkill for everyday tasks. Want to make a quick YouTube thumbnail or edit a product photo for Etsy? Canva handles that in seconds, often without the lag or the tough learning curve. And with its cloud-based nature, you can design from literally anywhere. Phone, tablet, shared computer, it doesn't matter. And Canva, well, it started a movement. The company has fostered a global community of educators, marketers, entrepreneurs, and non-profits. They launched Canva for Education, offering free premium features to teachers and students. They created Design School, a library of free resources to help users improve their visual communication skills. All these are part of a larger strategy to make Canva the default design platform for the modern age. And spoiler alert, it's working. One of the biggest shifts in the industry right now is the democratization of content creation. Tools like Canva are at the center of that movement. They've made it possible for people with zero design background to churn out professional-grade visuals. And Canva's smart about keeping users inside its ecosystem. With integrations into Google Drive, Dropbox, social platforms, and even printing services, it's quietly becoming the default design hub for millions. Want to design, print, and ship your wedding invitations all from one place? Canva's got you. Photoshop, meanwhile, still expects you to export files, find a printer, adjust dimensions manually. It's a different vibe. To Adobe's credit, they've seen the writing on the wall. In response, they launched Adobe Express, clearly inspired by Canva's simplicity, but it hasn't seen the same traction. Why? Because Canva didn't dumb down design. They reimagined it. They built for speed, for collaboration, for mobile-first users. Plus, their freemium model was a masterstroke. You could use 80% of Canva's core features for free, forever. That's a far cry from Adobe's monthly subscription model that often locks users into long-term commitments for features they barely use. But Canva's not content with just being the easy alternative. In recent years, they've been aggressively upgrading their offering with tools for video editing, website design, whiteboards for team brainstorming, and even AI-powered copywriting. They're also starting to chip away at PowerPoint's territory, with Canva presentations becoming a go-to for teams that want something faster, more collaborative, and visually polished. And let's not forget Canva Docs, a potential Google Docs competitor with integrated design capabilities. They're no longer just taking on Adobe. They're going after Google, Microsoft, and every corner of the productivity software universe. And don't forget about AI. Canva's leaning into generative AI with features like Magic Write, Magic Design, and AI-powered photo editing that's inching ever closer to what Photoshop can do. What used to require multiple apps and hours of editing can now happen with a few clicks in Canva. The lines are blurring fast, and Canva's betting that users care more about outcomes than the process. Photoshop might give you more granular control, but Canva gets you to the finish line faster, and in today's attention economy, speed is everything. From a business perspective, Canva's story is also about how not being in Silicon Valley might have been their secret weapon. Based in Sydney, Canva avoided some of the copycat product cycles that dominate the valley. They were able to stay focused, build for a global audience, and scale thoughtfully. And even during turbulent times in tech, layoffs, slashed valuations, funding droughts, Canva has remained profitable and cash-rich, with a reported $700 million still in the bank as of late 2024. That's rarefied air in today's startup landscape. But perhaps the most underrated part of Canva's success is how fun it feels to use. Design no longer has to be this intimidating, high-stakes process. With Canva, it's playful, collaborative, almost gamified. The platform feels like it's rooting for you. It makes everyone feel like a designer. And that emotional connection, that's powerful. So where does that leave Photoshop? Still powerful, still essential for certain high-end workflows, but for the vast majority of people, Canva is enough. And that's exactly the point. Canva isn't trying to replace Photoshop for everyone, they're replacing it for most people. That's a very different and much more dangerous kind of competition. From humble beginnings in a Perth living room to reshaping how the world designs, Canva's rise isn't just a business success, it's a cultural shift. It's proof that sometimes simplicity beats sophistication, that you don't need to be the loudest or the most powerful, you just need to be the most useful. And in the battle of design titans, Canva isn't just punching above its weight, it's winning. What do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below and let's discuss. And if you enjoyed this story, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and don't forget to ring that bell so you never miss out on more deep dives like this. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, stay curious.